Salt isn't the enemy. I declare that salt is one of our true health heroes. God made salt, and it's a powerhouse of minerals to do the body good. I mean, who doesn't like a huge bowl of popcorn smothered in butter and lots of salt? Yummy! Hey friend, are you tired of feeling confused about nutrition and what foods are actually healthy? Do you want simple, practical steps to feed yourself and your family with confidence? If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Tracy, and each week I'll help you understand food labels, how to choose healthy ingredients, and discover God-designed foods that support true wellness. Welcome to Godly Nutrition. Grab your pen and paper, and let's make healthy eating simple again. The Godly Nutrition Podcast is your place for cutting through the confusion surrounding healthy eating and returning to simple principles rooted in God's design for our bodies. For more resources on whole foods, grain milling, and homemade bread, visit my website, breadroots.com. I'll leave all the details in the show notes. This podcast is for educational purposes only, not professional advice. Hey everyone, welcome back to Godly Nutrition and part 2 of our Simple Pantry Swaps to Clean Eating series. Also, if you missed part 1 of whole grains, please go back and give it a listen. Let's get to it. Salt isn't the enemy. I declare that salt is one of our true health heroes. I love the subject of salt. I love eating salt. Unrefined sea salt, that is. I mean, who doesn't like a huge bowl of popcorn smothered in butter and lots of salt? Yummy! So let me start with a biblical perspective on the wonders of salt. Salt is more than just a complex of minerals. It is a symbol of purity, preservation, and even promise by our Heavenly Father. Salt is so important to Him that He made a covenant of salt with His people in Numbers 18 and 2 Chronicles 13. What is a covenant of salt? A covenant of salt is a biblical term signifying, get this, a binding, permanent, and unbreakable agreement between God and His people forever. Take note of that. God is making this covenant with us, His children, not us to Him. Also, when God was giving the sacrificial instructions to the children of Israel, He commanded, it wasn't a suggestion, He commanded that salt be added to all grain offerings, which was to represent purity and permanence of the worshiper's relationship with the Lord. That's found in Leviticus 2:13. Because salt is a preservative against decay and corruption, He uses it to express His binding, permanent, incorruptible seed promises of His word to those who are believers in Christ. 1 Peter 1:23. Wow, that is awesome. So from my perspective, we should pay close attention to the matter of salt in our life. According to Psalms 139:14, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So if that's the case, salt plays a huge role in how to keep us wonderfully healthy. Now allow me a little sidetrack for just a moment. To know if a currency bill, our money, is counterfeit, an agent will first scrupulously study the real thing, learning all the specifics about that bill down to the smallest of details. Then, when they are presented with a counterfeit note, it is immediately recognized as false. Why? Because the real deal has been studied. Today, I present to you the question, is salt truly good or counterfeit for our health? It may get a little sticky today, so be prepared. I encourage you to pay close attention to the following list of what real salt does for your body. And let's be very clear, we are talking about unrefined real salt, not regular white table salt. White table salt has been stripped of everything except for sodium chloride. Unrefined salt from ancient underground salt reserves has a composition of sodium chloride and a bouquet of 50+ trace minerals essential to healthy bodily functions: magnesium, iron, potassium, calcium, copper, zinc, phosphorus, and more. God put those there. Like the $20 bill, we will examine some health details that real salt has on our bodies. Are you ready? Okay. First, hydration and electrolytes. We've all heard about that. Salt helps to regulate fluid balances to ensure proper hydration of your cells. So you don't get muscle cramps and spasms caused by electrolyte imbalances. The sodium and the chloride work as a team to transmit nerve impulses and enables muscle contractions. Because sodium and potassium also work as a team, they regulate fluid balance and blood pressure. Potassium holds the water inside the cell, while sodium holds the water outside the cell, making their balance critical for that nerve function, muscle contractions, and cardiac health. Did you hear that? Cardiac health. In my book, that sounds like it would apply to one's heart since it is a pretty important muscle. Just saying. Cardiovascular, again, adequate intake is necessary for maintaining healthy blood volume and pressure. Metabolic, salt helps to regulate the insulin sensitivity and blood sugar levels. Digestion, salt stimulates the production of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, which is crucial for breaking down food and activating enzymes for carbohydrate absorption. Nutrient transporter, sodium helps transport critical nutrients such as amino acids and glucose into the cells and helps with the absorption process through the intestinal tract. Bone health, about 30% of salt is stored in your bones. To help prevent osteoporosis, an adequate amount of salt is needed to keep the rest of the body from leaching sodium from the bones. Cleanser of the blood and sinuses, salt possesses anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties. Therefore, saline solutions are used to clean wounds and irrigate nasal passages, clean congestion, and remove phlegm in respiratory issues like asthma, and supports the immune system in general. Oral health, saltwater rinses can soothe sore throats, canker sores, and help inhibit cavity-causing bacteria in the mouth. And that's just to name a few. I hope you stayed with me through the list. Go back and listen to that part again if you need to. It's important that we know the truth about the relationship of salt and our bodies. God made salt, and it's a powerhouse of minerals to do the body good. So how much salt should we consume? We all know what we have been told about how much salt we should have a day according to nutritional and medical professionals. My question is, how many of those folks really researched the subject themselves? Or instead, did they simply take their cues from a report stated in some medical textbook or journal? I know, I hear you saying, that can't be possible, they have studies. Well, that's true. There are studies. But are those studies based on accurate information, or has the information been twisted to fit a certain narrative? Their declared information contradicts itself over and over. When I looked at the information, all the studies that I came across were performed with white table salt. In other words, sodium chloride only, and not the whole unrefined salt with all the minerals. Again, Let's be clear. It's white sodium chloride only salt that they were used in these studies. You don't have to be a doctor to research the information and find the truth. So again, let's pay close attention. I'm going to give you some numbers they provide. The health industry recommendation for healthy adults is to limit salt to less than 2,300 milligrams per day. Y'all, that's about a teaspoon of table salt. Key word here, table salt. Remember that. The AMA, the American Heart Association, advises less than that. Oh goodness, an optimal limit of only 1,500 milligrams per day, particularly, are you ready, for adults with high blood pressure, heart disease, and those over the age of 50. No French fries for you, no chips, nope. But if salt is so bad for us, why is it that when someone goes to the emergency room, the first thing they do is hook you up to a liter of saline solution? One bag of standard 0.9% saline solution contains 9 grams of sodium chloride. That is 9,000 milligrams per bag. And sometimes they give you 2 just to get you started. But wait, the experts tell us to only consume 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams of sodium chloride a day. Yet they are filling you up with somewhere between 9,000 and 18,000 milligrams in one swing. Does that make sense to anybody? Did you do the math? PubMed posted an article stating that Americans are consuming too much sodium and not enough potassium. Why do you suppose that is? Here's a thought. Could it be because they took the perfectly balanced, unrefined salt and processed everything out of it except for the sodium chloride, which is now white table salt? Therefore, that salt is no longer providing potassium. Go back and check the list of minerals again. I know unrefined salt, we are told, has a negligible amount of potassium. Well, God put it in there in the amount He deemed fit. I just wonder if we really need what they say. Maybe we are missing the magnesium. Maybe it's caused by other issues like the stripped whole grains no longer providing the nutrients needed for good heart health too. I don't know, but none of it makes sense to me. And let me just add, what about some sources like Dr. David Brownstein explicitly state that none of the existing studies used unrefined salt, which contains minerals like magnesium, potassium, and such, that are vital for blood pressure regulation as their basis. So ask yourself, did we really have all these health issues before the salt and grains were stripped and processed? It seems many health problems started arising after that refining process began. And if the stripping wasn't bad enough, many table salt have been bleached and have added preservatives and synthetic anti-caking agents containing sodium, aluminum, and silicone. Okay, in the first place, why does salt need preservatives? True salt is a preservative. And why do we need any aluminum? I thought we weren't supposed to use aluminum pans and such. Y'all, just tap the shaker on the table before sprinkling. I mean, really? I think we need to really focus on true facts and not those of twisted and manipulated presentations. Context matters. Health experts emphasize that imbalanced, ultra-processed diets, especially those containing regular table salt or sodium chloride only, are more likely to contribute to high blood pressure. Well, they probably do, because they're missing everything else. If you look at all the health benefits of unrefined salt does for the body and compare it with all the health issues people are experiencing today, it clearly shows something does not add up. Let me close with this. I have a quick story for you. We have had a lawn cutting business for many years, and in the beginning, I did what everybody else did, bought Gatorade by the cases. Because you have to replace your electrolytes, right? Well, my husband became very sensitive to the red and orange flavors. They gave him heartburn. By that time, I had been doing lots of nutritional research and had already switched to Redmon's Real Salt in our kitchen. I suggested to him to carry some of their kosher-style salt and pour it into his drinking water. And when I say pour, I mean pour. He was amazed, to say the least. It was like night and day for energy, stamina, and strength to be out there in that hot sun for hours and hours. I'm not a spokesperson for them, and they do not pay me anything. I'm just saying switching to real, true, unrefined salt has been a huge health improvement for us both. I'm not making any medical claims. You have to decide, and everybody's body is different. Our needs are different nutritionally. I highly recommend that you do some research and go further than just what the studies show on face value. You look at what salt truly does for the body versus what they tell us it does based on faulty foundations. Because salt is not the enemy. God created salt. It is such arrogance to think it needed to be changed. I know today's information was a little bit deep, but it was good information and very important to get it out there. I really do believe that eating the foods that God made and the way He made them will bring true health to our bodies. So let me ask you again, is salt truly good or counterfeit for our health? You decide. I say make the switch to true unrefined salt. Let me say one more thing about salt. People ask me all the time, well, what about sea salt? The answer? All salt comes from the sea. It just depends on where it is harvested. Deep underground, uncontaminated, or off the shores where pollutants may reside. Something to think about. Here is a quick unrefined salt reference. I'll leave it in the show notes. My favorite, Redmon Real Salt, here in America, out of Utah. It is an ancient, uncontaminated underground salt reserve where they practically scrape it off the wall and put it in a bag. Its color is kind of like sand. Himalayan Pink Salt, everybody knows about that. It's from Pakistan, also an underground ancient salt reserve. The color can be pink to deep red. And then we've all heard of the Celtic salts from the coast regions of France, Portugal, and other places. Its color, light gray to deep charcoal. Either way, go for some complete, whole, unrefined salt and do your body some good. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Salt, a Healthy Hero. Remember, next week will be part 3, fats, with a bonus on butter. Be sure to share this with a friend who needs some salt in their life. Well, that would be everyone, right? We are making eating healthy simple again, God's way. Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may be struggling and feeling confused about how to eat healthy? Also, would you help support this channel by leaving a quick review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen? I'm so glad you stopped by today. Don't forget to follow Godly Nutrition Podcast, and I'll meet you back here next week for another great episode. Till then, have a wonderful week.